hiatus because of summer and it gets too hot, so I'm just joking. But thank you all for coming. We're going to talk a little bit tonight about some new things that are coming up and some stress and some stuff from my book, and then a simple hip and hinge pattern, nothing too crazy. First, before we get going, I want to cheers everyone for coming. So thank you guys for coming. A few places that doesn't necessarily encourage alcohol drinking, but it's okay. We want to be human. And while we're at it, come on up here. She was, this is Lauren, and we just started dating. No, she We just started doing a client of the month, and it was between two people. It was between her and me, but Adriana said we gotta go over there. No, we wanted to congratulate her. We're gonna have a nice little wall over here. She's gonna be our first person of the month, so we're super excited. She started with us almost a year ago. She's one of our first people that came in, and I remember that first assessment. Adriana was like, I met this crazy girl. She was a sweetheart, and she's made a huge transformation. It's really neat to see her going from pretty much lifting the bar without those weights on there to doing her body weight and deadlift and hip thrusting, and she's made a pretty remarkable change. So before we get into the hinge and the squat pattern, we're going to talk a little bit about my book. I'm going to talk about myself just to do that. But if you have not read my book, I'm going to talk about spine. Does anyone know what spine stands for in my book? That's one of them. People always remember the first S. The first S stands for sex. That is correct. The second one? Intercourse. There's two S's. There's three S's actually. So sex is one of them. Sleep is one. Stress is one. Psychology, injuries, nutrition, and exercise. So if your spine is in alignment, then you're going to optimize fat loss. So imagine a bunch of pillars. You have 7 things that are going to hold up to optimize what your goals are for fat loss. Most of us, as Americans, we're 75% overweight. We want to lose weight, and so we focus so much on nutrition. We focus so much on exercise. If you're not getting results, what does the average person do?
Quit.
They take a lot of people quit. They exercise harder. They eat less. And we think it's that simple. That if you want to get in better shape, all you need to do is just work out harder. Being lazy, work out more. Or it's nutrition. Your nutrition sucks. And as a coach and working with athletes at the University of Connecticut, I disagree a lot when it comes to nutrition aspects. That who here has heard that abs are made in the kitchen? You guys heard that before? And a very common one is 90% of fat loss comes from what? Diet. Diet. It's all about diet. Ironically, that we're working with almost NBA players who having Cheerios and fruit pop and fruit punch and cookies for breakfast and sandwiches and pizzas and burgers for lunch, and they're eating like crap. These guys are maintaining 45% body fat. How is that? We focus so much on nutrition, but is it all about nutrition? It is about exercise. And there's people that will focus on nutrition and get results, which is great. But there's a lot more than just those two things. And so tonight I'm going to talk a little bit about how other things can have an effect on you. So I always tell my trainers, I always look like a creep carrying on a toy. This is our boat analogy. And so we would optimally do it with some water. So any client we sit down with, we talk about what their goals are. The majority of our clients, we have athletes, we have different people in the industry, but a lot of our clients want to lose fat. And what I'll tell them before we even start going through the assessment is, this is how fat loss happens. This is an optimal body for fat loss. You love your husband, you love your wife, you love your kids, you're as happy as can be, you're sleeping 8 hours a night, you're drinking 8 to 10 ounces of water, ideally half your body weight. You love the world, you have no stresses whatsoever, and it's just an awesome day. Is that you? And our clients go, no, I hate my wife, I hate my husband, I hate my kids, I hate my job, I hate everything, everything sucks. I'm driving 2 hours a day, stress is horrible, I'm walking down the street, the person's slow behind me, and then I hate the world, so I'm constantly stressed. So when you're in a stress response, what normally happens when you're abnormally stressed? Your first response that happens. You want to know? You don't eat, no?
Of course.
You might have to do it. You might have to do it. Sorry. Hold on a second. What just happened? She have to do What happened?
They jump.
You shock, you jumped, you came down like this, and what happens to your heart?
Start beating
It's beating faster. It's a natural evolutionary response. So when we're presented with a big ass lion back there, when we were cavemen, we said, okay, we can fight or we can run. For those of us that were smart, we would run, trip the person next to us, and we'd be all right. Or you could fight. What happens is all the blood goes to your internal organs, so if you were to cut, you would die out. But what happens today is we see a traffic jam, we're late to work, a boss is bitching at us, or whatever. We're constantly in this state of stress, and so our heart is bumping really fast. We're releasing these fight or flight hormones, a lot of cortisol. And from that, we're in a constant state of, just like you are right now, where you're kind of heightened senses. So when you try to go to sleep, you can't, because your cortisol is elevated, and then we're not able to restore ourselves. So I tell people, this body, which I just said was optimal, the individual who loves life, sleeping, that's 1 to 2 pounds of fat loss per week. What's the difference between fat loss and scale loss?
Water.
Potentially water, yeah. So yeah, I can weigh 180 pounds and lose 10 pounds of water, and the scale weight will say 170. But am I really 170 pounds? I just lost water. And fighters do it all the time. They'll lose 15, 20, 30 pounds before an event. And it's not true fat. So if you want to lose fat, you need to have work being done. And so the scale, you can be training with someone or exercising. You can lose 4 or 5 pounds of fat, gain 4 or 5 pounds of muscle. What happens? It's nothing. Same way. Our society is so freaked out over the number on the scale. You know, it's always a funny thing as a teacher and instructor. When I ask a guy in class, like, Lawrence, how much do you roughly weigh?
Right now?
Yeah.
198.
Okay, bad example. Tom, how much do you weigh?
212.
You guys suck. Jimmy, how much do you roughly weigh?
185.
Okay, guys are usually right on the 0 or the 5. Girls, it's like, I'm 138.1. I'm looking at each other like, yeah, I know, I'm having a bad day today. Why? I weighed 131. Yesterday I was 130. I'm fat now. But we're a range. And it's important to realize that we don't weigh 185, we don't weigh 160. You weigh between 130 and 137. You have a range, because if you're dehydrated, it's always funny about hydration, you don't think about it, and ironically we're drinking. But the minute you're like, oh, I'm thirsty, if you're a 212-pound individual, you've lost 2% of your body weight. That's 5 pounds of water you've lost. So is that fat? No, it's just water. So we freak out way too much about water. So the example I give when it comes to fat loss, I always say, here's our boat. So we're going to be a girl or guy today? Girl. Girl. What? We're a girl. See? It's a girl. Ponytail. Ponytail's almost like mine. No, it's coming soon. It's coming soon. Hopefully soon. But we have our boat. And so if we want to lose fat, we want to be able to move along and go to high speeds. And that's when you're going the fastest, is when you're performing optimally and you're maximizing fat loss. But here's the average American. So we have some stressors. What are some of our stressors that we have? Work.
North Korea.
That's work for us.
Girlfriend.
Family.
Money.
Money.
That's a big one.
What else? Sleep. We're not sleeping. Who's sleeping here, honestly, 8 hours a night? Ah, that's good. Who's sleeping less?
Yeah.
This is you.
We don't see it.
Health. Now this is our starting point. What happens when you slam down the gas in this boat? Crap. I prefer, honestly, my backwoods country story, but people don't like, people don't even know what bogging is. You guys know what bogging is? No one knows what bogging is. I prefer this is the boat analogy I use. Bogging is, you go in the backwoods and you go four-wheel. You know, all this mud, and you be a bunch of country boys with guns in the back, and when you get stuck, natural thing, you put a four-wheel drive, try to get out of it, but when you can't get out of it, what happens when you slam down the gas?
Dig in.
Dig in and you go down. I gotta get someone to help you out.
Gotta get a plank under the wheels.
Right? You can get some branches, you can try some different things, there you go, you can try the variations. But as Americans, we're constantly stressed out, and we're trying to improve, try to get to fat loss by going harder and faster. So what do we need to do? We need to address our spine. It's not just about exercising harder, eating better, it's about everything. Working on our stress relievers. What are some good stress relievers?
Yoga.
Yoga. Another S, everyone's favorite, sex is a great sex reliever. You got, as I talk about in my book, you got to be humping at least 3 times a week. Brett, you're in trouble. So that's just one of the things that helps. Find something where you can release tension. Whether if it's, there's some good studies that we're looking at, just listening to birds on audio tape 30 minutes a day dramatically decreases the amount of cortisol in your body. Listening to birds, walking more, going to the beach, right here, Santa Monica. Basketball, that helps you, but you're not too good, so it might be more of a stress. It's all an individual thing, so find what helps you release stress. When it comes to sleep, you need to be sleeping more. What are some things that help you sleep? Sex, yeah. Ironically, a lot of people say alcohol. Alcohol is kind of a, what I say is a love test because it does. If you have 3.5 ounces of liquor, you know what 3.5 ounces of wine is? It's depressing. It's like that much. We don't do it. We have a glass of wine, that's a glass of wine. It's gone. The bottle's gone. So what happens is you actually get into a state of, you have a blood alcohol content, your brain cannot go into a deep state of sleep, so you can't get REM and you can't replenish everything.
Does the heart rate go up though?
Yeah,
I feel like my heart rate goes up.
Why is that though?
I don't know.
Dehydration. When you have an elevated heart rate, you dehydrate. Brett?
I was gonna say I hate to read, and it always put me to sleep. So if I can't sleep, and now I'm getting great sleep, I'll just grab a book and I'll read like 3 or 4 pages, and then I'm out like rocks.
You could probably read my book and do 1 page.
Okay.
Do that. That does help. What are some other things that help us sleep? You don't know?
Music.
Music? Okay. Meditation. Doing some relaxation drills, squeezing your muscles. Now, if you're going to supplement, ZMA is probably one of the best supplements you can take, which is zinc and magnesium. Zinc is one of the most efficient minerals. Magnesium is a natural muscle relaxer as well as neurotransmitter relaxer. So melatonin, you have ZMA, you have melatonin, both wonderful. Melatonin is released from the pineal gland in the brain. What it does, it helps get you a little drowsy. When there's a bunch of lights around, we don't produce as much of it. But when you take it, there's a lot of very common anecdotal side effects. You know what the side effects are? You have crazy ass dreams, huh? It's like all of a sudden a bunny is running after the back. It's true, yeah. You know, I got some weird
Michael
stuff.
Myers chasing me like he's trying to kill me.
It's weird. Then when you take a lot of zinc and magnesium, not a lot, you take the optimals, you have like very fluffy dreams and everything's so happy. It's like you're playing cards with the Easter Bunny and it's like so happy. So just be careful. Be careful which one you choose. And cooler temperature is important, especially when it's hot outside. If your body temperature is elevated, it can be a little harder to go to sleep. So be mindful of that. But if you're not getting, this last little thing, then we'll talk about the topic. If you're not getting optimal 6 to 7 hours a night, napping is good. But napping again is kind of a double-edged sword. Because optimal naps are how long? You want to know?
30 minutes?
20 to 30 minutes. That's the time frame that's going to be best, or 90 minutes. You got this nasty red area, which is 30 minutes to 90 minutes, where you're going to induce stage 4 sleep. I'm sure we've all done it. You take a nap, you wake up after an hour, and you're like, where the hell am I? You start running out the door, you think it's the next day, it's like you're out of it. You had that happen before?
What is that?
It's because you're waking up in the middle of the deepest sleep that you possibly have, which is about 60 to 70 minutes.
So is it a good thing or a bad thing?
It's not a bad thing, it's just you're going to be in a state of being confused, shocked. So aim for 30 minutes, aim for 90 minutes. Those are your 2 options. Any other questions about spine or anything along those lines? No? Good. All right. So I'm just going to, real quickly, are you going to, can I steal you for a couple of things, or should I take Brett?
Take Brett.
Yeah.
There you go, Brett.
All right, so we're just going to go over real quick the difference between the hinge and the squat. This is Brett, one of my top trainers. Just got one of his first clients, and so this is his hazing ritual right here. And here's an honest question for you, just not to roast him, but I want the woman's perspective. Is this a V-neck or is that a V-neck? So then what is mine called?
That's too high.
I want to be V-neck.
I didn't get this. What did you call this?
LA.
What did you call this?
I just said from downtown LA.
That's what does that mean? Downtown LA.
That's It's just where you got it.
That's my V-necks need to go a little shorter, but it doesn't
Or
show
your
up.
hand.
Anyways, we're going to go into a squat and a hinge. A lot of people will go to the gym and they'll do these exercises that they consider best for their glutes. And the glutes are a very magnificent muscle group because they're probably the weakest amongst most individuals. They're the strongest muscle in the human body, and we want to pose to your side. I'm going to put you on the spot. Yeah. Yeah. What are the 5 actions of the glutes?
Opa.
Adduction,
AB.
abduction, extension, external rotation. Help me out. Internal rotation.
After not least.
And posterior toe. And, yeah, posterior toe.
That's helping at the end. Good one. When you do it like this, posterior tilt, that's going to turn your glutes on. So those 5 actions are really going to turn the glutes on. That's how you work. So when we squat, let's face this way. I'll show everyone where that optimum heating weight is really fun.
I'll take a break.
Ooh. I'll show off a little bit. Roll your shirt more short for you. So when you see him squat, watch the hip, watch the knee. Come down, then pause. So what you're going to have right here is you have knee extension. This actually flexion right here, and also flexion right here. But when he stands up, come up. We have hip and knee extension. So come back down again. So because there's 2 joints working, his quads are a main player, and up again, and also his glutes. Nothing wrong with this exercise by any means. It's a great exercise for your glutes and for your quads. A lot of people, specifically competitors, a lot of girls will come up and say, I get big quads, and I can turn into Quadzilla. And that's from squatting and leg pressing and deadlifting. And maybe it's from the overuse of doing the same exercise more and more. Squatting could potentially induce that effect because it is predominantly quad focused. When we go to a hinge pattern, so when you show the classic difference between a squat and a hinge pattern. So you have the bar in front of you, face this one. The knees do not move. His back is nice and straight. He's not bending there. Proud chest. He has an imaginary hand or something there between his lats where he's squeezing them. Neutral neck. And then he comes up and watch what happens here. He hinges forward. Look what happens to the knees. Go again. They don't move much. So this is purely ass dominated. Go forward. So if you have the strongest body, and I talked about this in class, if we were to play God, and look at Brett's amazing glutes. Looks great. Sounds nice. Oh, Puma? What are you about? Okay. If you were to look at glutes, if we were to, someone would say, hey, design the best possible body and make the body as fast as you possibly can go. Here are 2 rockets. Where would you put the rockets? If we put rockets up here, if we put rockets down here, we'd be flying. Where would you design the body to be the fastest? Right there. We have 2 rockets. They're meant to go this way, as fast as we possibly can. Are we going as fast as we possibly can when we lift and when we move? No. Are we jumping? Are we sprinting regularly? No. So when knees are weak, essentially the rest of the body is only as strong as the weakest link. A lot of people have low back pain. 80% of Americans have low back pain. Could it hypothetically be because the glutes are weak? Sure. Could it be because the core is weak? Maybe. So when we identify a pattern, that's what we need to look at when we design our programs. So when I go to the gym, I'll show everyone again real quickly what a squat pattern looks like. Squat, 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 squat. There you go. Squats are great for you. They're good for the glutes, they're good for the quads, you gotta brace the core, it's really good for you.
No way.
Too
heavy.
It's actually no way, but it's, come back up.
It's a good morning.
You have that, that's good. Do that movement, overload it properly, do it on a Monday. On a Thursday, come in and do a hinge pattern. So he comes down, that's a single leg, or that's a stiff-legged deadlift, come back up. And back up. Come back in, good. That's the difference between a squat and a hinge pattern. Thank you, Brett, very good. Are there any questions, Jimmy?
I have a question. When you load yourself in the front, when you do a goblet squat, for people that have low back pain, like I know for me, it feels a lot better when I'm here in the front versus when you load your back on the back. What do you have to say about that?
It's an automatic reaction to engage your core. So what happens is when you're squatting back here, you don't think about tighten your core.
Right.
When you hold the weight here, you have to.
Yeah.
Your body, because if I let go, what happens? Come forward. So your body has to say, engage, engage, get ready to lift.
So your brain is like telling you right there, like
Your brain's doing it automatically. So like right now, you're in a flex position, your brain automatically is sending a message to your psoas major saying contract. Your glutes are turned off. That's just what's happening automatically. So when you start moving, you kind of forget to turn your glutes on. So when we do exercise such as a squat, this is very common.
Yeah.
We don't get that depth. So your glutes aren't getting optimally engaged. I'll prefer a deadlift, because you're going to probably get that more, or a hip thrust, you get enough glute activation.
So if the core was like a main element with a client, then would a front squat maybe be better to start sort of warm up with, just because your core is much more engaged and you have to actually think about it?
It's not necessarily much more engaged. It's that you have to do it. It's called motor control. It's induced automatically. So we want to optimize movement with proper control. People will go to the gym and work out. They'll do bad form, and then they really hone in on that bad form, and then they break down. So doing a front squat, a goblet squat, an elevated squat like this, teaches the individual proper form. So when they go heavy, they're less likely to injure themselves. Core, I tell people all the time when we're deadlifting heavy, you're not going to hurt yourself if you engage your core. You're not going to hurt yourself if you squeeze that area. Take a deep breath. It's hard for people to realize that, I have back pain. Guess what's probably going to eliminate your back pain? I'm anecdotally a fan of, not a fan, but this has happened to myself. Severe back pain, doctors want to do surgery, and guess what they told me not to do?
Deadlift.
Deadlift, squat, run, jump, any of that stuff. Because the doctors don't know, no offense, but they don't know kinesiology, they don't know biomechanics, how bodies move. If you engage your core strong, and you come down here and you lift, it's actually going to help support your back and make it stronger. So lifting properly is going to save your back. Lifting improperly is going to blow your back out. Any other questions?
So by engaged, you just mean like clenching
Good question.
your gut?
Two best examples. If we were to play a little game, then I'd say poke your partner as hard as you can in the gut right next to you. What would happen? You get, don't do that. You don't want them to. You want to squeeze. You want to prevent it. You want to grow up with older brothers? You do it to you all the time. They come and poke you. So if I was going to come and poke you really hard, you want to tighten down. One, or my favorite, which a student had, was pretend like you're just trying to squeeze out a big one. Now you're tight. Now you're tight. That's what we should be doing when we're lifting, when we're running, when we're jumping. Nice and tight. Where a lot of people don't do that, they're soft, and then guess what's happening to your spine? You're just getting compressive forces, and where's the culprit? L4, L5, S1, all those discs down here, they're like little jelly donuts like this, and they just start getting stepped on. And after a while, they're going to have some ooze come out of them. That's where the Bowles disc is. And then it starts irritating a nerve, and all of a sudden your leg hurts, your ass starts hurting, sciatica, whatever it may be, because we're not engaging our core opposite. Any other questions? Well, let's thank you guys for coming again. Cheers again. What's your one? What's your question?
Say
Are you single?
Of course I do.
Yeah, feel it.
What?
what do you enjoy doing on the weekends?
I'll tell you the story behind this another time. That's